Hello, everyone. I'm curious where you're joining from, if you're watching live or in the replay. We are going to orient ourselves tonight to our bodies and to our environment. So when we talk about the body, we're talking about our physical body, but also the collective body. So I'm from Los Angeles. That's where I'm coming from right now tonight. Let me know, drop in the comments where it is that you're joining from, and also taking stock of what's going on in your body. So for me, I'm feeling a little bit hungry, haven't had my dinner yet, and I'm not feeling as grounded as I would like to be. But as I say that, I can feel more energy in my tailbone and in my hips. So if you're just joining, we're orienting ourselves to where we're calling from or joining from and any sensations that are arising in our body. So hi, Carolyn. Welcome. Carolyn's joining us from Pleasanton. Hi, Kara. Kara's joining us from Brooklyn. And anyone else want to drop in where are you joining from and start thinking about what's going on in your body, because the microcosm is the macrocosm. And as we connect to our body, we can connect to the collective body. And the collective body right now is unearthing stuff that's always been there. Unearthing collective trauma. I'm reading the book My Grandmother's Hands by Resmaa Menakem, and he is an amazing author and therapist, actually from Minnesota, and his book is about the body, the police body, the white body, the black body, and this cultural body that we're creating. And we're creating this cultural body moment by moment as we create the world. Carolyn says sensations are hungry and body feels tired. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. As I read that, I'm hungry too. And I feel my back kind of relaxing just hearing about what's going on in your body. So the reason the body is so important is because it's a key part of feminine wisdom. So if you think about masculine energy, traditionally is consciousness. It's the cosmos, it's space, it's things that never change. And feminine energy is anything that changes. And our body, of course, changes all the time. Our cells turn over, new cells are being made, our hair falls out and hair grows back, and our body gets older, our food gets digested. Like, the body is a place where so much change happens. And the collective body is also a place where so much change happens. But most of us orient to our life through our mind. We overthink things, we analyze things, we look back at our text messages, we reminisce about the past and wonder why things didn't work with an ex. Like, we ruminate a lot up here, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not getting us what we want probably in our relationships. So if you're just joining, we're talking about the body tonight as a source of feminine wisdom. I would love to know where you're coming from, where you're joining us, and any sensations that are going on in your body. And if you're new to looking at your body or to feeling into your body, sensations can just be like, oh, I feel an ache in my shoulder, or I feel hungry, or I feel like tingling in my feet, or I feel tension underneath my ear. It's just kind of reporting, like you would report on the weather, but it's something we don't do very often. And it's one of the best ways for us to come back into the present moment and be more grounded. I know for me, I get impulsive sometimes, especially when I'm on social media or if I've had a really busy day. I'm just acting on impulse. And in my opinion, impulse is not actually the wisdom of the body. Impulse is the chatter of the mind flowing through the body, or it's the residual trauma or fears that are acting themselves out through the body. So the body is the actor of the impulse, but it's not maybe the source of the impulse. I think of intuition as the source of something that is guiding us, the body guiding us, a higher power guiding us. And the reason that's important is because relationships are really volatile, or could be really volatile, if both partners are not in their body, or if even one partner isn't in their body. So if you're dating and on the apps, or if you're in a relationship and both of you are kind of checked out or feeling really impulsive, I always say relationship is kind of like a forest. Like, it just takes a single match to go down very quickly, and it takes a long time to build. This isn't to scare anyone. It's just to say that our relationships are important. Our relationships are sacred. Some of them are ending for good reason during all of this time as we get clarity on our values and what's important to us. But a lot of them are just going through stress. Our relationships are stressed, and that's okay. We've been in quarantine for a while, and we're confronting massive racism issues that have been happening for centuries. So we're gonna feel the relationship stress. how do we deal with that? You know, in a masculine way, it would say, here's the plan, here's how we're going to deal with it, here's our goals, and, you know, we're going to get up at this time, and we're going to, you know, every day have a discussion, and that's fine. But I feel like what's being called for is the slowing down into our body, slowing down into the needs of our body, the sensations of our body, and our collective body. Resmaa Menakem, who I mentioned before, the author of My Grandmother's Hands, talks about cultural trauma and cultural somatic trauma. And as a culture, we're changing and growing. And as individuals, we're changing and growing. And in our relationships, we're changing and growing. So I wrote down some things that I feel like are key wisdom of the body, and I want to share those with you. And the first one is cycles. So the reason the body is such a source of feminine wisdom is because it is a place of cycles. And I'm not just talking about reproductive cycles. I'm talking about sleep cycles and circadian rhythm, ultradian, or I can't ever pronounce that right, but it's a cycle of energy. So every 90 minutes, our body goes through a cycle where we need about 10 minutes of rest. And that's how we can stay in our optimal ability to focus. We have all sorts of cycles in our body and all sorts of cycles in nature. But a lot of times we pretend that that doesn't exist and we just want to push through. And that is why we have caffeine and Red Bull and all of those things that are good short-term fix if we really need it, but not something that's sustainable. And it feels like as a society, we've been relying on these, these crutches, like I could say propping up the stock market right now, although I won't get into that, but we've relied on these crutches to try to get out of cycles. Like, oh, we can just get out of cycles. But cycles happen and everyone is going to have to deal with their stuff. It's just a matter of when and how painful it's going to be along the way. So we have an opportunity to deal with our stuff in a clean way now. Resmaa also talks about that clean pain versus dirty pain. Clean pain is like, this is going to suck, but I'm going to go into it anyway and do my work. Dirty pain is like, I'm going to avoid it. And a lot of times in a relationship, we create dirty pain because we're avoiding talking about things. We're avoiding connecting to our partner, connecting to our body, connecting to the present moment, or we're avoiding connecting to ourselves. And I used to be the queen of that, not connecting to my feelings, not connecting to my body, basically living off of my to-do list. But then I'm missing out on the wisdom of the cycles, and it comes to a crashing halt later. My first marriage ended, we were together about 5 years, but part of the reason it ended is because I didn't know what to ask for. I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know that I still had trauma that I hadn't healed underneath all of the, busyness and productivity. And we didn't have any romantic sexual connection. All of that kind of ended after year 2. So we were just living in the shell of a relationship, pretending it was okay, but not actually having discussions and not actually connecting to each other and not actually connecting to our bodies. So it's normal in relationship that you'll have a cycle of connection and then a little bit of disconnect and connect and disconnect. And so that's just the natural merging and then individuating, and then merging and then individuating, or you can call it rupture and then repair. And that's super healthy, the same way that we build a muscle. But if we're only in our heads, then we will not be connecting to the wisdom of cycles. And the wisdom of cycles tells us when it's time to slow down and rest and prioritize pleasure, and when it's time to, burn the candle at both ends and create something or read something and learn something or be there for someone, even if it means putting our needs to the side for a little bit. All of that is beautiful, but we're going to miss out on those gifts if we can't connect to and accept the cycles and the wisdom of the body. And that's the second thing about the feminine wisdom of the body is acceptance. I mean, how many of us have used our bodies? We've manipulated our bodies. We've used them as tools to make us feel better about the way we look or to keep up with some sort of societal standard or to perform in a certain way. But when we can accept that our bodies are these vehicles of change that are constantly in flux and that have all of this different cycle, we can look at it as a miracle. Like our body is a miracle and an oracle. Our body is an oracle for giving us messages. That message might be to slow down and sleep more. The message might be to, alter something that we're eating, or the message might be that a relationship that we're in, a friendship that we have is hurting us energetically or emotionally or otherwise. It is taking our life force. It's not generating anything. And I'm a huge fan of reciprocal relationships Obviously, being a parent is a little different because you have a responsibility to care for your child, but even that is reciprocal. Your child is giving you lessons and growth and vitality and learning and all of that. So when we can accept the wisdom of the body and its cycles, then we can be in more peace and more harmony instead of adding to the stress or judging ourselves or shaming ourselves. Because if we add judgment and shame to what's happening, it's not going to make it better. It's going to make it worse. So the other parts that I wanted to mention is sometimes we think that if I accept my body and if I accept the wisdom of my body, then there's going to be inertia. Like, how am I going to feel special and important if I'm not go, go, go all the time, or if I'm not following my to-do list? If I listen to my body, what might happen? But the messages that your body is giving you are just going to become louder and louder and louder. It's not like your body's going to be like, oh, you know what, ego, you're right. Like, let's just follow what you have to say. The body will eventually tell you what it needs. The body will eventually catch its due or whatever. So we can choose to listen to it sooner rather than later and save ourselves a lot of time and a lot of energy. And most of the time what the body needs isn't, for us to move mountains. It's just to listen more. It's to slow down. It's to make sure that we're in integrity and our head, our heart, and our body are all on the same page. And the cool thing about this is when that happens and we're integrated in that way, we automatically create relationships that are more integrated with people that are more integrated and situations that are more integrated so that we can feel connected to our body and connected to each other and deal with conflict as it arises versus letting it harbor. And it doesn't mean you have to always talk about everything under the sun with your partner right away, but you create a cadence and a rhythm of being able to open up. I know sometimes it's hard to open up, but the more we open up to our body, the more we can open up to a partner. And the more that we create relationships that are reciprocal and healthy and communicative like that, the more that we create that in our families and in our society. The other wisdom of the body, I talked about cycles and acceptance. The third one is moderation. Now, I can't remember exactly who it was. I think it was Mae West that said, everything in moderation, including moderation, or too much of a good thing is wonderful. And I love pleasure. I love feeling good. But the body is a great way to moderate, because if we have way too much of something, the body will tell us. We will get sick if it's too much of something, or we'll start to crave something else. I was in Italy last year for, I think, 10 days for a friend's wedding, and it was amazing. And when I got home, I definitely craved green juices and salads and things that were more clean. Not that I didn't also still crave buffalo mozzarella and bread and pizza, but my body was ready for something different. So the body will tell us when we get too far into a certain extreme, because the body is trying to keep us healthy and keep us moderated. And you might ask, well, how do I trust my body? What if my body is not giving me the messages that are taking care of me? That's typically because we're following impulse versus intuition. And I mentioned that a little bit earlier, but impulse is just old energy running through our system, trying to keep our brain safe, our idea of being safe. But intuition is a full body knowing. It's a slowing down. It's a sinking in. It's a like an energy moving through us that's wiser or that's more grounded versus something that feels addictive or habitual, like that we're just repeating a cycle and we have zero awareness of it. We're kind of sleepwalking through the cycle. So body wisdom is more about those little nuances that are calling you versus consuming you and feeling like an addiction. So if you're just joining, we've been talking about the wisdom of the body, how the body is a vehicle for feminine energy, and how it teaches us about cycles, acceptance, moderation, and that all of these things are key for our relationships and for dating and for the planet right now. And the other wisdom of the body, number 4, is healing. So the body, if you cut yourself, will heal. It will, unless you have a blood clotting thing going on, the body will heal. The body knows how to heal. It has an innate healing wisdom when we listen to the messages early and often. And it tells us, hey, slow down, pay attention to me. I need more rest. I need more food of this kind. I need more love. I need more touch. I need more creativity. Whatever it is that it's communicating to you, it's through an impulse of healing. It's through an impulse of wholeness. And sometimes what it's wanting is expressed through emotions. So if you don't pay attention to your body and it's telling you, hey, no more caffeine, you might start feeling really angry or frazzled or cloudy or hyped up, like your heart is racing. that's giving you a signal. It's giving you an emotion of frustration or of overwhelm or of frenzy, and that's part of the message of your body of treating it differently. So our emotions travel through the body. Joe Dispenza talks about this a lot in his work. Our emotions are these chemical reactions that flush through the body that we can get addicted to and then recreate, which we don't want to do. But typically the emotion is because it's trying to teach us something. It's trying to help us move energy, maybe even old energy that's stuck from a very long time ago. Another thing I've been sharing a lot about Resmaa Menakem tonight. He's the author of My Grandmother's Hands, and it's been really wonderful to read his book. But something he said is, if it's hysterical, it's historical. So if you ever feel like just completely hysterical about something, the nugget of why that's happening is rooted in something in the past. And I've had fears of being cheated on. I've had fears of being abandoned. I've been hysterical sometimes about that with past partners because it's a fear from the past that I had to learn to heal and to overcome and to deal with. So the emotion that runs through our body is part of our body's wisdom and part of feminine wisdom, not just the body, but the emotions that she is communicating to us and expressing to us. And so that's the fifth thing, is feelings and emotions, but without the story. Like, can we be courageous enough to just feel the feeling without changing the topic, without trying to make it better, without trying to understand why? Sometimes just sinking in and actually feeling the feeling is the fastest way to heal and the fastest way to come back into that moderation, the fastest way to accept whatever situation we're in and then take a new direction and create a new cycle. So these are the 5 elements of the wisdom of the body and the feminine wisdom of the body. I'll read them again. Cycles, acceptance, moderation, healing, and feelings or emotion, but without story. And we know that our relationships are in a good place when we can feel the relationship we have with ourselves and what our body is telling us, and then be able to course correct and be able to share that with a partner. It invites someone to get to know us better, and it invites someone to witness us as we're on our path. I don't feel our partner is here to heal us. Our partner is here to just bear witness to our own healing process, to our own growth journey. And as we do that together, we build mutual respect, we build compassion, we build interest in each other and curiosity, and we build respect. So I'm just looking at my notes because I wanted to make sure. I think there was a few other things that I wanted to talk about. Yes, the intuition piece. So I feel like as women, we have, especially as women, but for all humans, we have this intuition. Hi, Leanne. Thank you. We have this intuition about something, but if we're not paying attention to our body, we won't listen to it. We'll feel like a little nudge or a little kind of tug at our sleeve, but we'll just push it away, kind of like, a very loving hyper puppy that we're like, I can't deal with you right now. But when we're connecting to our body, life becomes so much more easy because we're honoring our intuition, we're feeling our intuition, we're following our intuition, and we're taking this sacred pause. And that's part of what this time is that we're having a chance to take this pause collectively so we can feel and heal things that have always been there that are coming to the surface, and so we can take new actions. So the beautiful thing about tapping into our body is it's easier to trust and follow our intuition, which makes life easier, which makes the cleanup process, not quite as intense. And then the thing that we'll know about trusting our body and trusting our intuition is it will help us to choose relationships and situations that are going to be generative for us, so that over time it's easier to connect to your body because your body is in a better state, and your body's in a better state because you're following your intuition. And because you're following your intuition, you're spending time with people you really want to be, doing the things you really want to do that are giving you pleasure. So it's just this virtuous cycle of paying attention to the body, moving through the sensations and the pain and the emotions that come up, and then creating better choices and new ways of being in the world, and giving us more strength, more courage, more love, and more capacity in our relationships. So if this is something that you struggle with, if you're not sure what your sensations are in your body, what she's telling you, what it means, and how to live your life in a way that's more embodied, then I would love to connect, because believe it or not, a big part of the work that I do with women on dating and relationships is just teaching them how to get connected to their body, to know what their body is telling them, to trust their intuition, to integrate their head, their heart, and their body, and to change their patterns of attraction so their body is attracted to the people that their heart and their head are attracted to, and that can create a much more sustainable, healthy, lasting relationship. So I'd love to connect about connecting to your body and the feminine wisdom of the body. You can go to violetlange.com/talk. And you can also check out, and that's where you can set up a call with me, but you can also check out violetlange.com/FF, and that's for my Fabulously Feminine program, which is only going to be open for another week or two, and then I'm going to be doing some new things. And that program is all about feminine energy, about connecting to your body, your emotion, your heart, changing your patterns of attraction. It's not about dating, but it is about feminine wisdom. And so I would love to see you in that community. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week on our weekly Wednesday Facebook Live. Mwah! Here's to you and your beautiful bodies. Bye-bye.